In this video, I will quickly go over some signal options, and also we will take a look on some implementations that the Angular team has added to use these signals more often and also have some benefits with it. I will firstly go over one topic I have not covered, and only will go on one possible option you can do if you have issues with the change detection. Here you see like a signal definition with a default value, and what you can do is you can provide an equal function, and this equal function allows you to kind of defining a function that allows you to like adjust the compare function when a signal knows that it is changed. That means normally if you update like the data set with data.set, it will kind of update the signal value, but it will not trigger effects, what we also will cover at next, and computed values, because if you're like providing the same value from like object perspective, like the same reference, it will kind of ignore it and will not trigger the computed or effects. Okay, let us quickly go over the effect. I have not covered it until now. The effect is kind of like a definition you can use now that allows you to make some functionality that get called when signals that are used inside of the effect get changed. The important thing here is that you should try to prevent using like setting signals inside of an effect, because that could lead to issues related to the change detection. But here you see that we have an effect and we like providing a function. That's all. You not get anything back from this. And here you see that we have a console log, and this one like logging if the signal count changes. That means the effect knows, same as the computed, that if the dependencies or the functions that get initially called or like that get getted on the initial call changes, it will recall the effect to, in that example, like each time the count changes, it will make a console log that says the count is and then the number. Okay. Then something super important in Angular 17 and 18, we have like an input functionality or input function now. And what it does, it replaces the old add input. That means with this, you creating an input as you know it before, but what it kind of returns is like an input signal. That means you are now allowed or can get an input as a signal. And the benefits of it is totally clear. You can make some computed that are based on inputs. You can make some effects that like get recalled each time an input changes. And you kind of like can do all of this without having to use the default change detection of Angular. And also what you can do, if your input should be required, you can type input.required, and this will provide you, or will tell Angular that this is an input that is required to provide. And you can also like type this stuff as you also could for the input. But it will give you a little bit more type safetyness. And also, of course, in that example, like you can also make an input with a default value instead of like require to provide this. Also, by the way, there is an output signal, but at the moment it's not makes much of a difference. Also important to know is that the signals as input and the stuff that I will go next over is in a kind of like developer preview. That means you can use it, but it's not like totally included. But it's kind of working. It uh, yeah, could be that there are some functionalities that get broken, or there's a little bit kind of a risk to use it, but like it's totally your decisioning what you are doing. Then it also give us signal queries. Signal queries, as you already know, eventually like the few child or few children or some other functionalities that that provides you HTML elements or element refs can now also be used as signals. That means you can use the few children, content child, content children as a function now, and this will also provide you a signal. That means the signal updates each time the reference changes or the reference is available and so on. It's be like nearer to be like everything as a signal, and that's a good point about it. Ready to learn Angular 19, 20 and 21. This course covers everything new in this latest versions. From hydration, event replay, resource API, signal forms, we cover it all. You will get a complete playground app showcasing all features. Plus, we will build a weather app from scratch to implement everything hands-on. Full source code for both projects included. Check the link in the description. Also, Angular has thought about the observable stuff, because in Angular you have a lot of observable stuff until Angular 17, and what they now have is like two functions that might interact or can be used with AXJS. They have toSignal. In that example, you can see there is like an interval observable, and you can now call the toSignal, provide an observable, and can also provide an initial value to make the whole signal has an initial value. Where are the potential use cases? In the application from scratch in that course here, we're using this functionality to make a drop-down that gets its options from an endpoint, from a backend, and it uses this toSignal to make the request that each time happens if the user search for something get send it, and the return value is like a signal or get converted to a signal and get then used for an ng-for or like a for loop in the HTML. For example, it's often also beneficial for generic HTML request responses, because that's like something you can kind of do to make the return value to a signal instead of an observable. Also, for some formula data, a good example could be you have like a form control or generally like reactive forms, and you using the value changed or value changes observable, and you can then provide it or use it as a toSignal to get a signal out of the value changes. And also, if you, for example, using a state management like NGRX, you can kind of convert the selectors that you have there to a signal. But that's something that is for some experienced developer that using NGRX. But there are also other possibilities nowadays for NGRX. But that's like a potential use case you can also think about. Also, we have like the same or the like opposite to it. That means you can also convert a signal to an observable. In that example here, you see we're creating a signal query and using the toObservable of the query to make an observable out of the signal. And then we using this with a switch map. And yeah, you can kind of see that this is the use case where we have a signal that is the query, the user input, for example, and then we like getting the results from the backend or from an endpoint with the matching query. And that is each time the signal get updated. We have then like the results observable. As I said, and that's more like the more advanced part of the options for dropdown, but this we also use in our application from scratch, in our weather app. Also, it could be a idea or possible to use it for sending events to a server. That means if you have some signals that kind of like give you information that you want to save on a backend, it could be that the toObservable could help you, for example, to make it to debounce or a debounce time. And this allows you to, yeah, kind of delay or sum up some changes and not like sending it instantly. And yeah, of course, it could be helpful for some side effects where you like want or need a pipe from XJS. Yeah, that's kind of all about the additional information about the signals. And yeah, I will see you in the next section.